you don't really know about it. So I'm still going to say, come in, let's make up the executive committee, because sometimes we need that mixture of those who know and those who don't, to show those who don't that they can also begin to know. Like, no, let's begin to enjoy learning about SDGs. Have an actual knowledge of them that doesn't stem from, I just needed to pass. You know, you begin to appreciate the opportunity to do things. So to say, because it can be really emotionally taxing, not knowing what you're going to do next, especially during that gap year.
Welcome to Rise and Impact podcast, where we celebrate the incredible young people who are changing the world one community at a time. Each episode, I will be interviewing the next generation of change makers just to explore their stories, their insights, and achievements. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for you to be notified whenever we release an episode. This is the Rise and Impact podcast, and I'm your host, Elizabeth Chilume. So thank you so much, Nandu, for joining. And so this is actually like Rise and Impact podcast, where I just like talk to young people like you guys, young people that are like really doing impactful stuff like within your community and all that. So Nandu, like, can you just tell us about like yourself?
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if I should now mention my full name.
Yeah, you do.
As you mentioned, I'm Nondumiso, and I grew up in Zimbabwe. That's where I completed my primary and my high school education in a town called Bulawayo. In high school, I was really invested. I was more invested in sport. Yes, I remember playing, played a lot of sports, but only then specialized in basketball, I presume in Form 2, is that grade 9, this side, yes. Yes, and then I made it into the first team. From there, I then joined the provincial team and then went on to join the national team in Form 4, which is grade 11. So my passion it still is, but it was mostly in sport in high school. And yes, I completed my high school there. I had, my academics were shaky, but towards the end, towards my final exams, I think I began to really pull up my socks, and then things became better, and I passed really well for both my O levels and my advanced levels, that is. And then from high school, I took a gap year. I took a gap year because I started school 1 year earlier. Like I was a bit early in terms of starting high school, and by the time I reached A level, I wasn't sure if I still wanted to do psychology, but I wasn't sure if it would be the best idea anymore. So I spent a lot of time during my gap year trying to think about now what to do. I didn't want to go to university, and do something that I didn't want to do. And my parents were saying, no, we can't take you to university, and then now you're telling us, no, I don't want to do this and all of that. So I spent quite a lot of time there, conflicted as to what to do. And then my options then shifted from psychology to physiotherapy and social work. That's when I began to look into those two, and eventually I said, okay, no, I think what I would be best fit to do is social work in this moment. And narrowing down, I then decided to come to Namibia, then to advance my tertiary education, or to begin my tertiary education rather. Because I'd been here for a basketball tournament during my gap year now. Yes, so I'd been here. I didn't think of coming here when I came. It wasn't like, oh, I've come to check out the place or anything like that. I just come for the tournament, and then when I was now thinking back, I'm like, okay, which university should I go to? I was like, okay, but no, yeah, it was really good, and I wanted a calm place, not too wild. I was like, okay, let me come to Namibia, and that's when I began studying social work. We had the screening. I just packed my bags and I came. I came and I said,
Really?
yeah, because with the screening, there's a chance you can make it or not. But I just said, I'll take my bags and hopefully I get the place at the end. And then I did get the place, fortunately. That's when I began my journey now as a social worker, or rather as a social work student.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think even the course I chose is the reason why maybe I do a lot of where I found my voice, so to say. Yeah,
Okay.
because as we were learning, I was like, okay, I'm actually enjoying this. I'm learning a lot about myself.
Yeah.
And even as I was in the classes learning about myself, I began to say, no, what can I do with my life, so to say? Because I've never been a strictly books only person. So
you've been even like active, like even in high school already.
Yes. In high school there was Interact, which is what I then jumped into, because when you leave Interact, when you're now in university, you join Rotaract. Yes, I was in Interact. I used to I was a prefect also, but that was I feel like those positions are given to you from a series of having contributed to the school as well. I'd like to help out where I could when we had the events at our school, and I also just like I mentioned, sport was my biggest focus in high school. So most of my days I'd spend playing sport. Weekends you'd find me on the courts playing games. Most of my weekends actually I'd be out of town. We'd be traveling through sport. So that shifted now from
now I'm seeing like what like the actually the decisions that you took being in social work and the activities that you're actually involved in and all that. And I think like as young people, one thing that we actually the difficult part is transitioning from high school into university, because like most of the people, like you always find yourself like in courses where like maybe when in the second year, in your third year, you end up changing or you end up dropping out. Because I saw have friends that did it. Because even me myself, like when I finished with high school, I was like, I'm definitely going to be in the health, going to do something within health. And that's what as well my teachers were like, Elizabeth, you are so good in science subjects, you must either go do medicine, something in nursing, or just like a health, you must do health science and all. And I was so sure I'm going to do that. And there was a time I wanted to do law, but then I was like, then like just like my teacher was like, no, Elizabeth, you can't be a lawyer, you can't talk. Yeah, you can't talk, like, because I've been very antisocial. That's the thing. You can't talk to people and all. Like you don't have that. You don't have that you are not well articulated and all that. So I also just took a gap year as well, just look to kind of just see where I can fit and all that. But I found myself in the creative industry, which is something that was like very far from what I studied and what my vision was and all that. So like so the gap year is actually the one thing that actually helped you. Like what were you doing like within that gap year that like
so during the gap year I played. Was it during the gap year? Because I got an injury. I got an injury because during the gap year I was playing basketball still. I was playing basketball. I did spend a lot more time at church because as a believer I was trying to find what do I want to do, and you begin to also just spend time where you think you'll get that answer, I suppose. So I was at church. I used to play basketball until I got an injury. My teeth got knocked back in during one of the games that we had. So after that, I completely stopped basketball until this year now. So most of my days were spent playing basketball. I took a rest during my gap year. I can't say during my gap year I was doing this and that. I think even with something that we were talking about with my streammates from high school is that people underestimate or don't speak as much about the turmoil or the the heaviness or the negative feelings that come with the gap year at times, because you can feel like, what am I going to do next, because although you come to that decision at the end that, okay, social work, I think this is what I'm going to do, there's a period, there can be 6 months where it's like, what am I going to do? And you can feel as though you're not doing anything. I think my gap year shaped me in the sense that I said, when I can do something, why shouldn't I? You begin to appreciate the opportunity to do things, so to say, because it can be really emotionally taxing, not knowing what you're going to do next, especially during that gap year. But I did try and play sport, but yeah, the injury just made me say, let me take a break and really evaluate things. And that's what happened.
Okay, like, did you like do research on different careers? Like you say, like as you said, you wanted to do psychology, you wanted to do social work, and
Yes.
then the other
Physiotherapy.
as well.
Yes.
So did you like do research and compare and all that?
Yes. So yeah, it's a very during that time you really try and do a lot, because there's something that there's this personality test that I used to love since high school. I don't know. Yeah, it's the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities test, and I strongly felt like it did really in a nutshell, describe a lot of things about myself. And so I noticed, okay, strengths, weaknesses, and all of that. And even when I saw that, you can get a little frustrated with not knowing. I really resonated with that, but I used that as a sort of guide. I saw, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. I looked into professions that I would be best suited in. I found a lot of things. I found even an interior designer. I was looking at I think there's a time when I really called my friend, and I had 30 careers that I was like, okay, what about this? And I really went down, I narrowed down, I looked at it, and I said, okay, for this I need these subjects, but I did arts because I was, since grade 4, I was like psychology all the way. So it's like, yes, you got great grades, but now it's like you want to change completely from what you were doing. But I did really sit down and have a list of careers that I wanted to do, and then it's like I'd keep on saying no, because I applied to NAST as well for urban planning and so forth. I think I applied for 2, as well as mechanical engineering, was it? And I got accepted, I remember, for and as well as quantity surveying. And I got accepted for those things, and I hadn't really applied for social work in the first place. So I felt like my passion didn't lie there. Like, I remember even sitting with my family, and they're like, this passion thing, where is it getting us currently? But yeah, I did really have a list of things that I could do. I had a list of things that I could be accepted to do, a list of things that I would be even good at doing. But I then narrowed it down by saying, what can I see myself actually enjoying doing? So that's when I then said, okay, social work. And then I looked at Namibia, and then said, okay, let me apply. But I had applied to Namibia, UNAM, actually, for social work during my A levels. Like I just said, I didn't think too much of it. I was just like, let me apply for social work for some reason. But as I said, I was in my A levels, so I couldn't really fast track the process with results coming out at a certain time and all of that. But yeah, then eventually 2022, that's when I said, okay, let's do this. Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's actually very much interesting. So have you come here like on the scholarship, or is it like your parents that are paying?
It's my parents.
Yeah?
Yes.
Wow.
So even when you're studying, you have to remember it's the parents that are paying. But yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, like you, as you said, you've been like very active since high school. You've been involved in sport and as well as like in some community work and all that. So, how do you think that have contributed to the person that you are today? Like you being involved in volunteerism and all that.
I believe it has. I believe it has because it created a culture of volunteering in me, doing something with my time. Because most community work comes from like understanding that okay, something needs to be done and someone needs to do it. So if I'm not doing it, then it's not going to get done. You know, you think of it like that, and I think like if we all began to think like that, community work would be so easy because there'd be more hands on deck and so forth. But yeah, the time I spent in high school working on just volunteering my time, it gave me the direction. And then when I got to Namibia, or when I got to university rather, I then said, okay, let me volunteer my time in a specific manner. That's when I began to get involved in a bit more things that actually grow myself so that I can better actually commit to volunteering to improving the community and just community work in general. I won't lie, the school I went to actually had a culture of making people like enjoy doing purposeful things, so to say. It would encourage people to make use of their time. You know, the rules, most people say, no, these rules are very stifling and just too much. But I used to always say, no, but guys, these rules, I like them. I used to always, then they'd be like, no, so you just like them because you like the teachers or whatever. But it's like those simple rules, like you have to at least have 1 hour of sport a week. Like they would say that, or go to a club, or one of the clubs at school for 1 hour, have at least be in one club, be in one sport. Definitely it's a requirement. And if there's an event at school, maybe a compulsory event, you have to be there and stuff like that. So when I look at it, it's like in high school it started off as, okay, these are rules, but I like these rules and I'm going to apply them. But not only that 1 hour, I'll do more, because why shouldn't I? And so forth. And I got a piece of advice, I think, that I continue to apply, even though that was for high school. It's like I applied it in my volunteer work and I apply it even now. I remember one of my sports coaches once said, you pay your fees, right? Your parents pay your fees, and then you come here, but perhaps during that 1 hour when you're meant to be focused on your sport or something like that, you are now talking to the next person, or you're getting distracted and stuff like that. The money your parents paid is still going to that fuel that's going to transport the sports team to go to another town and stuff like that. So make use of that money that has been paid by actually implementing or using your time well. So I think in a similar manner, yes, my parents are paying the tuition and all of that, but it's like I think of it as they're paying for me to have an opportunity to be here and to grow. So it's like I get into community work with that idea of, why should I spend my time just sitting when I could be doing something that's helping me grow? My community work really stems from that point of, I want to do something with my time and with myself as well. That's not only benefiting myself. Yeah.
That's very true. Because like for me myself, like I'm a big believer of volunteerism, because I am like a productive volunteerism. Because like everything, like most of the skills that I know today, and me being able like to speak out is through volunteerism and volunteering myself, joining community work and all that. Like, and like, do you think, like, have you gained like any skills like within like committing your time into volunteerism and all? But I know that you spoke of that it gave you a purpose. Like a purpose, to live a purposeful life. But have you gained any skill, and have it like helped you now, like you being now in your university and all that?
Yes. Are you asking from a point of like in high school or in university?
In university.
Okay. Perfect. So with my volunteer work, one of the key skills that I can say really I've gained, it's that of project management. it's a skill I'm still building on and trying to strengthen. But most of my volunteer work has led to trainings that basically center on project management, because with community work you need to be able to set up those like those plans that come with project management, because community work doesn't just happen. There's specific plans or strategies that have teams need to be created. A purpose for for that team needs to be there, and so forth. And I think with most of the volunteer work that I've done this past year and this year as well, I've noticed that my project management skills have grown from nothing to quite something. Yeah, because I think, so to say, Rotaract, I even recently became the project coordinator of the club. Like, I'm the incoming project coordinator, but I was assisting with that. And even with one of the one of the programs that I had applied for under World Federation of United Nations Association, we received that training on project management under the Project Management Institute. And in general, when we're having most of our volunteer, you notice that there's a structure, and when you pay attention to it, you can also learn and begin to implement it. So I think that's one of the skills that I've learned, as well as I think as well, okay, I've always loved speaking. I've always loved speaking. But in my last year of high school, I began to be scared, because, sometimes when you're given a position, it cripples you, because now the focus is on you. So initially, before I was given a position as the sports captain now of my high school, I used to speak freely, during the assemblies I would talk. Then I got that position, and I think it stifled my ability to talk more than it did anything. But I think volunteering brought it back. I got an opportunity to begin speaking again. Like I volunteer, like sometimes I MC for most of the organizations that I'm in, like maybe the social work society at school. When we had our launch recently, I said, okay, they said, can you please MC? I MC'd. Rotaract, when we had our Rotary Youth Leadership Awards for the younger high school kids now. I was MCing during that weekend, because I think I've been letting that skill of talking be reignited in me again. So yes, it did. I think even when you mentioned how initially they used to say you couldn't speak, but when you found your creative side, that's, I think, where the expressing of yourself came in. And I think similarly, when we're doing the things we enjoy, we get to express ourselves a bit better and to begin to talk. So I think, yes.
That's very true. It's actually very true. So, like, okay, now you are a second-year student, social work, and then you started a society at university. Like, can you tell us about that, and why did you start like that? Why did you decide to start a society?
Okay. So the name of the society is Dev Implement. Most of the people that I've worked with have always said you, and coming up with words that
Because it's like Dev Implement, like what?
Yes. I thought about it and I said, why have a name that, but yeah, I've been seeing quite a lot of stories on how people change their names and so forth, because people would mispronounce them or would not really get the meaning. But I don't know, maybe we'll stick with Dev Implement. Basically, development.
It's a unique one though.
Yeah. It stemmed from development through implementation. So initially, the idea I had was, okay, development through implementation. It was centered on trying to increase community development through us implementing projects as a society. And then I came to the realization that we do have quite a number, okay, not enough, but we do have quite a number of organizations that are trying to help students or young people or the youth to try and implement projects that are improving or rather contributing towards community development. Then I said, what is the missing factor though? What is something that I have a passion for that I can then also put into that society so that it's a bit unique and like just like that I can say, yeah, it stemmed from a passion. And I said, okay, I have a keen interest in matters regarding the United Nations and so forth, and especially their sustainable development goals. And I said most people don't know about these sustainable development goals. And even if we're saying that these goals are to be sustainable, they need to be able to continue.
Yeah.
But if only now the older people are the ones contributing towards these sustainable development goals, they are bound to stop being sustainable. The whole point of sustainability is that it can continue.
Yeah.
So unless if my generation is also then interested in these SDGs, then they cease to be sustainable. So yeah, I noticed no, my colleagues really don't know about these SDGs, because even when I approached the executive committee now of the society, they said, I remember this one guy even said, yeah, no, Nondu wants me to join a society on STIs. I'm like, no, no.
Oh wow.
I said SDGs. So you really just begin to see that no, my colleagues don't know. And I said, no, I like that. I like that you don't really know about it. So I'm still going to say, come in, let's make up the executive committee, because sometimes we need that mixture of those who know and those who don't, to show those who don't that they can also begin to know about these things and enjoy them. So the society then, I then said, okay, let me twist the aims and the purpose of the society to make it be a society that aims to raise awareness on these SDGs, as well as try and see what role each profession can contribute to a specific SDGs. Because sometimes when we bring things to a place where someone is already passionate, they are more able to contribute to that thing happening. And I felt like if we bring SDG, like if we bring the educators to knowing about quality education, they will enjoy it. Exactly. I bumped into a friend yesterday, just yesterday actually, and they were saying, oh, I saw you started a society on campus. I'm like, yes, it's centered on the SDGs. They're like, oh yeah, we did that, for a brief for one of our modules briefly. And I said, yeah, but I feel like people don't enjoy being tested on things. It's better learning about these things where it's not like there's pressure and someone is just doing it to get over and done with it. Because even one of my basketball teammates recently was saying, yeah, we did that, I just passed it, but really, and I'm like, no, let's begin to enjoy learning about SDGs, have an actual knowledge of them that doesn't stem from I just needed to pass.
For education.
You see, and he is an economist, the one I saw yesterday, and he was like, oh yeah, no, I think the one I was familiar with was eradication of poverty, no poverty, because he understands the numbers, So if we bring those specific SDGs to a specific passion that people have, they'll be better able to contribute to them. And that's the idea I had behind it. And I think that is the start. Those are the starting ends, and then eventually we'll then move towards saying, okay, let's implement a project now. That's where the initial idea came in, but with a better or unique identity to the society or to the aims of that organization, so to say. And yeah, that's basically where the idea came from. And I think I'm really planning or hoping to take it beyond UNAM's borders, because if we bring it to, you'll find that yes, while UNAM has a populace of 11,000 students, imagine the number of students or just the youth in general outside UNAM that can begin to love SDGs, even though they just didn't know about them in the first place.
Yeah, that's actually very true, because whether you go to university or you don't go to university, you will definitely be like, whether you go to university or don't go to university, you will definitely be involved, like within, you will somehow be involved, or you will somehow be affected by the sustainable development goals. Because like if you are somebody, maybe if you are going to be like, maybe you're going to work like even in the law film, you are going to be in climate change, you are going to be in education, you are going to be like in every sector, it's actually attached to a sustainable development and to any SDG. So whether you go to university, you can't go in whatever career you're going to find yourself, it's definitely lies within the sustainable development goals. And like the better you understand it, the better you will be good at
what you do and what you want to put out like in the world. And I think the better purposeful you will be actually be in life, and you will actually be like a direction. It will serve as a direction actually. So I think it's like very important that we, like as young people, not only young people, but we learn about the SDGs and how we can actually like contribute to it and all that. That's actually very interesting. So like, have you guys already like implemented some projects, or are you still working on?
No, we had the launch shortly before examination started, and yeah, we've just had like 52 people I think sign up using the online link, but most of our activities will start next semester, which is I think it should be August or yeah, that month. That's when our next semester will be beginning. But we wanted to first start with the awareness, because if we jump to the projects, it will be a bit tricky, because people can just begin doing projects because people enjoy doing projects. Okay, some people. But we want really that idea of the SDGs to come out, and to just begin to be something that people are conscious about when they are doing projects or anything really in general. So yes, we will implement projects, but we'll be centered initially on raising that awareness, whether it be through even game days and all of that are centered on the SDGs. Those maybe can be the projects that I can say we're doing, but not yet the projects that are implementing those SDGs. Those will take place, but like I mentioned, that's the second phase of our society's the first reading.
And are you guys like how can one join your society, or are you not accepting any?
No, we are very much accepting. There's a high school child who actually texted me. They saw on my status and they said, "So is this only for university kids?" And I'm like, not at all, because if we catch them young, then the much better, and the more sustainable actually. So we've got an Instagram account, DevImplement, dev.implement. And on our bio, we've got the link to join the society now. I think we will plan on also just opening up a LinkedIn account. And yeah, the bigger the better, really. Even opening up a website, because if we're going to really raise awareness, then we have to be out there and so forth. And yeah, I think you can just look for us on Instagram, and yeah, if you don't find that, you can even reach out to me and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what other projects or organizations are you involved in?
Okay. I did mention Rotaract. That's really a continuation from Interact in high school, and that is also a charity organization where we do a lot of community work and community development projects. Then I'm also a part of the African Pathfinders Leaders Initiative, Apply, which I joined this year. I had been waiting, I think, for 6 months last year for the applications to open, and then I applied. And when you're waiting, I think I was one of the people that would press like, when are you releasing the results? And then the interview takes place. Okay, when should we know if we are coming? And yeah, I came back really early this year from home, just to prepare for the first residential program. Yeah, so I'm a part of Apply, and yeah, Apply has really grown me, so to say, because we had an extensive residential program focusing on our personal leadership development, how to be community organizers to implement projects that we need to do, as well as even a strengths finder, like I enjoy tests. I think you remember me mentioning the personality test. So this one would be a strengths finder to see your top 5 strengths. And yeah, so there was really quite a lot of growing that took place there. They, like, yeah, really, I think I enjoy talking about Apply. So when I start, I won't stop. Really, it's one of the organizations that I've really enjoyed being in. And I also recently completed my Young African Leaders Initiative, YALI, program was set to graduate on the 8th of June. I was part of the online cohort. Due to examinations, I wouldn't have been able to go there to attend the graduation or the pitch if I had done the hybrid program. But yeah, I also recently completed that. It was a bit taxing because I was in the middle of the exams towards the end. But yeah, we really focused on human centered design thinking, or the technique rather, for projects, trying to make sure that we're centered on the people that are facing the problems in order to find the solutions. And that program has really been similar to my profession, so to say, because in social work we believe that people are the solutions, like they have the solutions to their own problems, and we really have to focus on them when trying to implement projects or solutions for their problems. So yeah, that has also been a lovely organization that I've been affiliated under, or that I've been under the guidance of. Yeah, and it also really gave me pitching skills as well, similar to apply, and yeah, just that network of people that you get to know. Yeah,
and networking is very important.
it's true.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Nondu, for actually coming and for availing your time. As you said, like your day is lined up with a lot of activities. But yeah, like what else, like like as we spoke at the beginning, like one of the difficult phase of young people is actually like transitioning from high school to university and just finding your feet into university. And I actually, like, I think it was last month when I had one of my juniors, like my high school juniors, because one of them is actually like a nurse, and they're like, Elizabeth, we are struggling. We go to school like from Monday to Thursday, but then we are not involved in anything else, and I just don't know what to do in life. And I just, like, what advice like would you give, like, those people that really, those students maybe that just want to do something productive, but they don't know, like they just don't know how to start.
I think that's actually something a lot of people find themselves struggling with. But the advice that I give, the one that I suppose I've followed without realizing, is get involved with anything, right, before you specialize. One of my sports coaches told me, no, the thing is, people want their children to specialize in swimming in grade 4. But in order for someone to have their optimum level and to really do their best, they have to first play soccer, tennis, everything, and then eventually specialize. So I think similarly to just doing volunteer work or finding their purpose in life, people have to really just do everything, but with an open mind. The thing is, people will attend Rotaract on a certain Friday and they just say, these boring things or something like that. But if you have an open mind and you try and see how can I grow from this? The problem is, people will ask the question. I've even when I was setting up the society, and I'd say, do you want to join this and this, or something like that, people would say, what am I benefiting? But it's like, yes, we have to benefit, but I think the idea is from a self-centered sort of place. When you say, how can I grow more than how can I benefit from this, you'll begin to find that you will benefit more than anything, because you initially got there with an idea of, I want to enjoy this, I want to see if I can enjoy this, and I want to see if I can grow from this. And then eventually you specialize after having just attended a bit of everything. You find your feet, or your place that you enjoy giving your time the most to. So I think they should just really get here and there, and then eventually specialize, but be here and there with an open mind as well.
That's actually very true, because if you don't try, then you won't actually find out. So it's only when you try that you will find that, no, I'm not putting this, or I'm not interested in this, and I'm interested in that. So that's actually like a very wise advice. So thank you so much, Nondu.
Thank you for having me, Elizabeth. I enjoyed talking. Yes.
Okay.